Hi there. In this video, we're going to go through the whole problem-solving process with this problem, and I really encourage you to try it yourself first. The problem is doable, and I think you would learn a lot by trying to go through it yourself first and see how it goes. And then you could skim through, watch the solution quicker, or skim through to the end and see if you got the same thing. But I'm going to go through the entire process here. So pause it now if you want to do it yourself. I'm going to go through each step. I'm going to refer to the last page of the notes and write out step 1 through 5, and maybe if we go do any additional steps that we do. So step 1, well, before step 1, I'm going to read the question. Then we'll do step 1. So you have 2 similar job offers. Which one would you choose and why? Okay. Job A. So I see a job A and a job B. Job A has $50,000 per year salary, 3 weeks of paid vacation per year, and a benefits package valued at $9,000. Okay, so $50,000, 3 weeks of vacation, $9,000 in benefits, and then the company will match 6% of retirement contributions. Okay, so that's job A. And job B pays $24 per hour, 40 hours per week is assumed, 2 weeks of paid vacation per year, and a benefits package valued at $10,000 per year. This company will match 5% of retirement contributions. Okay, so our first step says identify the question you're trying to answer. Do any research needed to understand the context. Okay, so step 1, what are we trying to do? We're trying to decide between 2 jobs, right? And really, we're comparing a lot of numbers here, so we might want to know which job pays more. Or you could just say, choose a job. Which job is better, which job pays more. There's a lot of ways to write that out. Now, as far as context, we've got 50, we've got a per year, per hour, we've got paid vacation. If you're not familiar with matching and retirement contributions, that might be something to look up. Many companies will match if you save a certain percentage of your paycheck. It automatically gets deducted pre-tax and goes into a retirement account. Then they will match. So if you save 6% of your pay, they will match that and add another 6% of your pay. So it's free money for retirement. You can't use it till retirement, but it's free money. So if you're going to take full advantage of this, you could get an extra 6% of your pay for the future. And then in the class, some point in the class, we'll talk about compounding the power of that and how much money you could have at the end or for retirement. And this company will match 5%. So if you say, as long as you save 5%, they will match that. If you save 3%, they would match that. So that's how retirement plans work. And you may have heard of IRAs or a 401k. Those are some retirement plans. Match the money you save for retirement up to a certain percentage. Okay, so we might want to take that into account. This one, we could earn a little bit more, an extra percentage than this one, okay? Okay, so that's step 1. Step 2 is identify the information you have and any information you may need. Look up or estimate any missing information, and then also estimate the range of reasonable answers. Okay, in step 2, what we might need to know, we have this per hour and hours per week. We might need to know how many weeks in a year. And you might, if you didn't recognize this right now, you would figure that out when you started to do the calculation. So that's fine. That's fine too. But let's go ahead and do that up front. There's an estimate of 52 weeks. Or you might be thinking, well, we could take 365 days in a year and divide that by 7. And that is a little bit over that, but 52 weeks is often the estimate used for that. So you could use either one you prefer. Let's see. It seems like we have all the other information we need for now, but we'll if we need something later, we'll figure it out. And then estimate the range of reasonable answers. So I'm thinking we're going to be adding up all these, kind of combining the values of each job and see which is more, at least as a starting point. So if we did that, this is 50,000, 9,000, and a certain percentage. I'm going to guess somewhere between 60,000 to maybe 70 or 80,000. Okay, for each job per year. And if I got something way lower than this, like 20,000, I don't think that would be right? So that's also, you can kind of think of this as what's the smallest answer that would make sense to you and what's the biggest answer that would make sense to you. If I got $1 million, that wouldn't make sense to me because these don't pay enough. I have to look for some different jobs for that. So that would not be a reasonable answer if I ended up with $1 million. Okay, so that is everything in step 2. So let's go to step 3. Okay, step 3. Okay, so these are the methods. Right, brainstorm and try out different mathematical tools to see what might be helpful. Use manipulatives, visuals, tables whenever possible. I kind of mentioned before that I'm thinking we're going to be totaling up the value for each job. So I'm going to write that as 1, total up values for each job and compare. Is there another way you can think of approaching this problem? It's often good to spend a little time up front thinking creatively, like is there something else we could do? We could maybe make a table, especially for if we wanted to do the hourly one, we might want to make a table. I think the first way is going to be more efficient. That seems like, and sometimes there might just be one real way to do a problem. Okay, so let's do that. I'm going to put a star by it. Let's do that one. Let's total up the value for each job and compare. Is that how you did it? So step 4 is to choose one method to continue and get a potential solution. So I'm going to write job A over here on the left and job B on the right. Let's kind of total each of these up. So job A has 50,000, 50K or 50,000. I'll write out the zeros. So we can add these things up. So 50,000 per year salary, 3 weeks of paid vacation. I'm going to skip that for the moment. And a benefits package valued at 9,000. Now, I guess it's a little unclear whether that vacation, since that is a benefit, if that's included in the 9,000 or not. I'm kind of assuming it's not included because they're listed separately. So it's also good to write down any assumptions you make because someone else might make a different assumption and have a different answer. And that's totally fine, but that's why you want to document your work and your thinking. So I'm going to say that this 9,000 is not including the vacation. That's an assumption there. And then the company will match 6% of retirement contribution. So that I need to calculate. So I'm going to do that on the side here. I'm going to do 6% is 0.06 times the 50,000. Let's see how much that is. 0.06 times 50,000 is $3,000. You may have done that in your head, since this is half of a 100,000, which is a nice number for percentages. And let's add that up. So these are only in the thousands. So 59, 60, 61, 62,000. Okay, plus vacation. So let's just do the numerical stuff for the time being. Okay, or we could actually write with or plus 3 weeks vacation. Okay, let's do job B now. So job B, job B has a $24 per hour. Okay, so we need to do a calculation here to get to a full year, right? Because this is a salary per year. So I'm going to do that one on the side as well. So we have $24 an hour, and then we have 40 hours per week, and then this is where we need weeks per year. 52, or you can use the 365 divided by 7. Let's see what we get for that. 24 times 40 times 52. Okay, 49,920. Okay, so it actually came out pretty close. $49,920 per year. Okay, and then we also have, I'm skip over the vacation, 10,000 value of benefits. I'm going to have the same assumption that I'm not including vacation in that. And then I need to get my 5% match, so that would be 0.05 times 49,920. And I'm just showing all my steps. I already have that number in there, so I could do times, and it'll take the last answer times 0.05. Or you could type it in again. 2496. If you're on a phone calculator, doesn't quite do that. But if you have a handheld or Desmos, you might have to type it in again. 2,496. Okay, let's add these up. I'm going to use my calculator for this one. I'm just going to start from the top. 49,920 plus 10,000 plus 2,496. Okay, I'm getting 62,416. 62,416. Okay, and that is with 2 weeks vacation. Yes, 2 weeks vacation. Okay, so what do you think at this point? Do you want job A, which pays a little bit less with 3 weeks vacation, or job B that pays a little bit more with 2 weeks vacation? I'm going to go ahead to step 5 for a moment, but we're going to have to come back. First of all, do these numbers seem reasonable? And they are within what I was guessing was 60 to 80, so they're just a little bit over 60. 62,416. So these do seem reasonable. And also kind of as we went along, I was checking each thing. Did it seem reasonable? Like here, if I came out with 5,000 for a whole year of wages, that wouldn't seem right. Or if I got 200,000, that wouldn't seem right either. So I was kind of checking along the way each step if it seemed reasonable. So I'm going to say our answers seem reasonable. But we haven't really factored in well, you can make a choice, But we could also monetarily factor in the vacation time. We could do that. So I'm going to say factor in vacation time. So if we wanted to do it monetarily, we could, there's a few different ways you could go about it. One way is, let's say I wanted 3 weeks vacation, and I want to know, well, what if I took an extra week unpaid here? If I took that away, that money away for that extra week, how would that compare? Would they be the same? Would this still be more? Would this then be less? Let's find out. So what if we find out for 1 week of pay? So I'm kind of iterating here. I'm going back. I'm just refining my step 4 a little bit. With 1 week of pay, so that would be $24 an hour times 40 hours, right? For 1 week. Let's see how much that is. And you're probably noticing, well, if it's $4.16 or more, then this one's actually going to be better. So 24 times 40 hours a week is $960. Okay. So what if I took that away? So if I did 62,416 minus 960, then that's with 3 weeks off. Right, so maybe that's a better comparison. Let's go ahead and subtract that. So if I take 62,416 minus 960, I get 61,456. Okay. So now it's still a choice, right? There's no wrong answer here, but this is why you want to show all of your work. Then you can explain why you would pick the job you would pick. So would you rather have sort of apples to apples with both with 3 weeks off? This one, job A, pays a little bit more than job B does. Or you could say, I'd rather have more money and not the vacation. Then you'd rather have job B, if that's more important to you. So you can write down whichever one you would choose, and then we also might want to think about other factors that we haven't considered, other things we don't know about in this question. I'm personally going to say I would choose job A because the vacation time is important to me, but you can make a different choice. That's fine. Okay, so whichever one you choose, you just want to justify your answer, explain why, and back it up with information, with mathematics. We also might want to think of some other factors that aren't even considered here. Right, it says they're similar jobs, but we don't quite know, like, what about the location, right? Maybe one location is a lot better than the other. Maybe there's more of a commute, that would be more gas money, right? That would be something we could add in as another factor. Maybe the people or the hours, if those were different. Also, just considering whether you prefer to be salaried versus hourly, there's a difference there. And with hourly, maybe you have the chance for overtime pay, and so that could actually bump job B up quite a bit higher if you wanted to work overtime. So we might put in salary versus hourly, overtime, and overtime. Squeeze that in there. So those are some other things that we would want to consider that aren't listed here but might influence your decision as well. Okay, great. Well, I hope you tried it first and got a similar came to a similar conclusion. So let's think about this for a minute. For the problem above, reflect on how you used your operation sense and number sense. Okay, so I remember we talked about operation sense, like how did you know when to do each operation? So I'll write operation sense first. Okay, so what operations did we use? We used a lot of addition, and we also used some multiplication, right? So we used multiplication for the percents and for totaling up a repeated value, right? So we used addition for totaling, and multiplication for the hourly rate and the percents. And then we also use subtraction to take off that extra week. Of vacation. So you may have just done all this automatically, but it's really good to just increase your awareness, just reflect, increase your awareness of how do you know when to use each operation, because I think that can help you in a lot of these problems. How did we use our number sense? That has to do with the magnitude and size of numbers, making sure that the answers we get are reasonable. So we used it to estimate, it's above the screen right now, but we used it to estimate a possible range of 60 to 80,000 and then kind of check our work at each step. So we used this to get a reasonable range. Of answers and check at each step. Just want to make sure things aren't too big or too small, or for example, you get a negative when that doesn't make sense in that context, things like that, or a fraction when a fraction doesn't make sense in that context, or something like that. Okay, so we went through the entire problem-solving process one time. The next two we'll do a little bit abbreviated. We'll do a shorter version. So just read your directions on whether it's asking you to write out the full process or just show more like step 4, showing your work step 4 and 5. Just pay attention to what's required in your assignment. Okay, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.